Hi there and welcome to this tutorial on the Dolly Zoom effect in drone footage. Now I've had a couple of questions on some of my videos asking how I achieve a particular effect with my drone footage. Just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. So this particular shot here, which is in one of my drone instructional videos, has had loads of questions of how I did it. So if we just play through, you'll see here we have this effect going on where the drone is moving in, but if you look at the background, it seems to be falling away. I'll just go back and play that again. We can see more clouds and the background looks expanding. And this is something called the Dolly Zoom. It's used in the movies a lot. You may know it as the vertigo effect, famously used by Hitchcock. It's also been used by Spielberg in Jaws, Martin Scorsese in Goodfellas, lots of other films as well. It's very easy to do, and I'm just going to take you through exactly how I achieve it now. So if we jump into Premiere, we have some footage here on the timeline. If I just go play through, you'll see here we have a shot which is slowly pulling back through some trees, and it's quite a nice shot in itself. But what we can do is we can go ahead and we can add a couple of keyframes and digitally zoom the footage. Now the key thing to know with the Dolly Zoom technique is that you want to zoom in the opposite direction that your camera is traveling. So in this case the drone is traveling backwards, so we want to be zooming in. And you can see I've gone ahead and I've added a few keyframes here. So we start with the scale at the beginning of the clip, and there's a keyframe just here, and it's set to 100%. And then as we move through the footage, we see that the scale is increasing, and I've kind of really exaggerated this. I've zoomed all the way up to 180. Now this is a 4K clip, so if I'm doing this on a 1080p timeline, I can scale to 150, maybe even 200. You're going to notice a small degradation in quality, especially with the likes of the DJI Phantom footage, but it's still possible to do. So if I go ahead and enable this effect, and then just go to the start of the clip, press play, you'll notice now we have this very cool effect that the background here is coming closer to us. So we're zooming in as we're pulling back. So the footage in the foreground is still moving. We'll just go play that one more time. But the background is coming into us. So this can be used to creative effect. And in this particular scenario where we're pulling back and zooming in, the forest is sort of enveloping around, wrapping around the viewer. And so it gives a really good sense of the sort of vastness of the forest. So the opposite to that is moving in the opposite direction. So moving forward and then zooming out. So this is just a clip normally played. Once again, it's quite a nice clip, but if I go ahead and enable the effect, and all I have is some keyframes where I start very zoomed in, so I'm up to sort of 167 here, and then I go all the way down to 100. And what you'll see is as I scrub through, we have the effect of the background falling away. So we'll just go ahead and play through that. As we move into the forest, we can see the background's expanding and moving away. Now you can use this on all sorts of clips, and you can use kind of strong effects and subtle effects, and the key is just to play around and see what it looks like for you. So I have another clip here which is a slightly different example, and the movement of the drone in this case is actually a tracking shot, so it's moving side to side. And what you can see is we have a subject standing here up on a rock, and then we have a nice kind of sunset in the background. So what I've actually done here is that I want to draw more attention as the subject comes into the center of the frame, and you've got this nice sunset going on in front, is I want to draw attention to that. So what I've done is I've added some keyframes once again, and I've gone from a zoomed out to a, if I just scrub through, to a zoomed in. So I'm bringing the attention of the subject and that background there with this cool sunset where they're silhouetted against it by zooming in as I go along. So I'll just play through that. And what you'll notice is because the zoom's over quite a long period of time, is it's quite a subtle effect and the viewer isn't instantly aware of it. It's only when I scrub through quickly that you can really see the effect. But you can see there how you're drawn into the frame, and you just get that real kind of sense of the person there looking at the sunset. Whereas if I take the effect off, you see that actually they're quite a small part of the frame and they can almost get lost a little bit. So I'm using it there as a creative effect to draw attention to what I want the viewer to see. So just one final example. I have a forward tracking shot here as I move towards the sunset, which once again is quite a cool shot, but I can add an extra level of kind of dynamism to the shot by zooming out. So if I go ahead, I've added the keyframe, so I've started here very zoomed in at 155 and I'm going all the way out to sort of about 100. If I enable that and just scrub through it, you can see there how we're getting the background falling away, and it's just giving this extra sense of scale. As I play through, the scene is widening up. We're seeing more of the land here, more of the sky, and it just adds that sort of extra level to the shot. Really easy effect, just requires 2 keyframes, and just remember, if you're moving towards a subject, you want to be zooming out. If you're moving away from a subject, you want to be zooming in. And you can also use it when you're moving across a subject to draw attention by zooming in as well. Hopefully that's been useful. If you've got any questions, please drop them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Hit that subscribe button and I'll see you next time. Thanks very much for watching.